got one question for you. Are you ready?
So the man, the myth, the intro himself is here today.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. It's surreal. I get the same. My coworkers, I told them about, hey, the music. Well, they started playing it on their phone and then playing through a speaker at work, and it's surreal. It's like, it's just weird. I mean, I've heard the songs, but it was just like, why are you listening to me? Stop that.
It's so awesome, though. I mean, it is so awesome. You know what? This is the cool thing is that we're both older guys. We're not over the hill or anything. I mean,
Right.
maybe some of us are getting closer to it, but it's so cool to be able to say, you know what? I'm still doing this cool stuff at 40. You know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I enjoy that.
It gives you a different perspective, like for real. Like before the early 20s, chasing music, the partying gets a hold of you. First things first, that's dangerous. It can lead you down a path you don't want to go down. But then the pause, the 12 years, why we call the EP 12 years, the pause that we had gives you insight, perspective, and makes you really enjoy the music way more. Just hanging out with your buddies and creating music is just it's so much better now.
I know, man. It's so cool. It's so cool. I've enjoyed picking up. I mean, I was talking to my mom, and I can tell you that I have had. She knew I played guitar, but I didn't have her fluency. Right. And now that I started playing much more, and this has been the last 6-7 months, my fluency in understanding guitar music theory and notes and scales and chords and progressions and, theories that go along with it, I can now have that conversation with her. And she's like, oh, yeah, but would try this and try that. And I'm like, holy crap. That's what I needed to talk the entire time. And my mom had a conversation for probably 20-30 minutes about guitar music theory this morning. It was awesome. Nice. I've never had that discussion with her. Usually it's like, hey, Andy, I don't really want to talk about theory. I just play. And today she's like, we were talking about the fact that she just played. And then she first was a guitar player. Then she went to college, and then she went to U of A and did the whole. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, look at the man. There's the men. What's going on? We got Ken. We got Jason. What's going on, guys? It's so good to see you guys. But yeah, I mean, we've had, and that's what's so cool. And I love that we're doing this at our 40s, and we're not like, it is. I think it's much more fun. I think we enjoy it more. I don't know about you, but I enjoy it more.
Yeah, there's the added stress, like when you're young, like and you get into a band. At least this was experience for me, and I'm fairly certain, talking with other people, you have that the desire, the hope that you're gonna just do that one song that's gonna catch, and then you're gonna get signed, and you're gonna become all of a sudden you're gonna be a rock star. And now I don't even know what I'd do if one of our songs ever became popular. I don't know what I'd do if they were like, all right, you have to go on tour now. I'm like, yeah, but what about my job? How am I supposed to mow the lawn if I'm out on tour? I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a provider for the family. It's like, I would love to do it, but it's also like, how does that work?
You have more responsibilities now as an adult than you did when you were in like your 20s.
I mean, anything's possible. Put your mind to it. Anything's possible type of thing. But it's just it's a weird dynamic that you're just like, I don't even know I can fathom touring or like it would be weird.
It would be weird. It would be totally. But how fun! But how freaking fun to be. I mean, we would be. I mean, you're definitely going to get in shape for this because you've been boxing and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I can't imagine saying, "Hey, you know what? I just met this group. We're going to go on tour for a while."
Yeah.
And the cool thing for my job is I could actually do a remote job for a while. I could do during the day. I do this remote job at 5:00. I'm getting ready to go do a show. That'd be fun.
I can't really fix fenders from afar, though.
No. That's the.
Yeah,
When we were talking, when we were talking to Scott, that was kind of the same thing that he had. Scott Magruder.
Yeah.
He had kind of had that same epiphany where unless it's local, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's a whole lot of it's a whole lot of daydreaming, like what if, and it's just like most of them aren't going to come to fruition. It's you just have to be happy with what you create, what you put out there, and any little attention, just the little bit of attention we've gotten in the beard community I'm elated with it. I'm super happy with people. Was a Bearded Cheesehead said he listened to the album twice already. I was like, it's only 5 songs, but just anybody would take time out of their day to listen to my band play. It's amazing. I really, really enjoy it. It's just that, like, hey, somebody listened to it and they didn't throw up. That's good.
You know what? And this is, and I know you. I've roomed with you, and we're close friends. And here's the one thing that I'm going to say: that you really are talented. There's no doubt in my mind that I've listened to your album. I listened to it yesterday and today when I was just taking a shower because I just like the music. I was like, wow, this is so good. And you just released, now the one single you just released, what was the name of that one?
We did Comply first. That was months ago. And we're just waiting on it. It's cubic dollars and time. It just takes time. Post-production, we had to fix some stuff. I am hyper critical of my vocals. And it's not from a place of vain. It's a place of I'm unhappy with my performance. So I gave you I sent you and some of our friends kind of an early cut of it, and I said this isn't the final version because I was too loud. It was too it needed massaging because I'm critical of myself. And but even my friend Jesse that did the record, he's just like, you are being way too critical of yourself. I'm like, nah.
I actually really, really like your vocals. Jason's asking, where is your link in your IG for your band?
You should be in there. Is it? Oh no, it's not in my. And so this ends. I believe it's.
That's the name of the band. So definitely go check them out. They have, and I would suggest playing them on Spotify. I'm a big, huge Spotify fan because Spotify actually does give at least 6 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, that's
every play.
Yesterday when it dropped on Amazon and iTunes, it was just like, I make the announcement that it's at, and it's coming to other ones, but I personally use Spotify as well. So it was just like, oh, it's like it didn't happen for me till it's on Spotify.
That's right. I played it this morning. I was waiting. I was like very excited. Absolutely, it is great what you did. I'm still hands down. Your vocals are really, really spot on, and then your guitarist is just phenomenal.
Well,
they are.
Sean and Sean are really. They're coming into their own. They're I'm not insulting or anything. I think it's Sean Norton is the primary guitar writer. He structure wise, it's how his brain works. He's really good at writing. Song structure and riffs and this and that, and then everybody echoes off one another and it becomes a song. So it's he kind of starts it and then it gets manipulated a little bit and then becomes a song. Everybody's input comes in, but he's really, really good at coming up with the chuggy riffs or something melodic, and then everybody kind of puts their 2 cents in and it becomes a song. I love that process. It really, even more than, we haven't performed yet. We haven't played a show, but just simply writing is part of my favorite part. Like hearing the progression of it starting with just a chuk, 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 and turn into a song. It's like, yeah, that's great. There was nothing and there's something.
I love that. That's the cool thing about creation, and I love that. That's and I would say that this new song is just as good, if not better, than the rest, and that's what I really enjoy about it.
I had a sneak and a spin is probably the mellowest of them all, and early reports. One of my best friends, Jamie, is down in Florida. He was just like, love the album. He says spin, and it's that melodic one. And then Sean's parents and his aunt or something listen to it and spin, spin, spin. And I'm like, really? I prefer the heavier stuff. I get it. That's like, I'm not a huge fan of me singing. I'm more, I prefer powerful, screamy type stuff. So I favor It's Over and the other ones, but I get it. I understand why people like it. It's just like we used to call it the emo song. It's like, yeah, let's play the emo song.
But it's good. It's talented. Yeah. It's using your vocals, and that's what I always like. So if I want you to think about this, this has almost your singing style is so different. You would not think that they're the same people, but it reminded me a little bit of Linkin Park, how Linkin Park, when he did his melodic stuff, was really good vocal, very different sounding than when he was doing the screamo stuff, I think.
Yeah. There was a couple times where it's just, and he blended so well. Chester was amazing, such a great vocalist, singy, and then all of a sudden he would I can't remember one of my favorite songs. It's just this guttural scream, and it's just like you could almost feel pain. It's like, ooh, that's saucy.
Right. And Chester's is an amazing guy. He's so the interesting thing is for just people out there, he is doing they are putting together a thing for him from his original band, which is something gray, and I always forget the name of it. Something gray. Darn it. You know who would know this? The man, Gary. He would know what. He knows all of that stuff. But his original band that he came out from was still in Gilbert, Arizona. Is doing a compilation still for him.
Great Days.
Yeah, Great Days. Yes. Yep.
Great
Days.
Like
Grace something.
I was trying to think of it. Yeah, it was great something. I'm trying to think of it.
Even back then, hearing some of his early stuff, it's amazing. It's just like what it hadn't been lost far too soon, but it's like right from the get go, just so talented. It's like you have no idea, like screaming the way I scream, the way he screams. It's a talent that you have to learn. And I almost blacked out numerous times trying to, until you develop the way you transfer air from your chest through without suffocating yourself. It's difficult. And he was a master at it. I'm fair at it, but he was so good.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Speaking of Gary, I told you, it's just like you have to speak his name, and he's like, Gary shows up.
Making great days, and here he goes.
Yep, metal guy. Yep, metal guy. What's going on, buddy? How are you? Yeah, I agree with everybody's, even metal guys saying, "Wow, Ben,
it's
you
awesome.
killed it."
It is awesome.
I was explaining at work today how it, the beer community, I did the reviews for a while, and it's just like, it wasn't like a secret or anything like that. It just, like I said, we had that hiatus, so I just started to get back into it. I wasn't really making a big deal out of it because it's for fun. But then as we got a little better, we're, started talking, okay, we're going to record some songs. I was like, all right, I'll let people know, hey, this is what I do. And like the beard community was like, you do what? And I'm like, oh yeah. I've been doing this stuff for 10, 15 years.
I love it, man.
All they see is like, all they see is doing the beard stuff. And it's like, you see the other life that you have, and you're like,
the racing, the racing, the band stuff. It's just like,
yeah.
My wife does wish I had a few less passions, because it kind of, it's the only way I can focus because ADD, it's just like, ooh, squirrel, ooh, shiny, ooh, like it's just, it makes sense to me. It doesn't make sense to other people,
True. Very true.
That's what's so cool. I think me and you are in the same boat. I think maybe you a little bit more than me because I don't do any of the go-kart stuff.
Right.
But I do this YouTube thing, I'm doing this pretty active. And then additionally, I'm doing the guitar playing, and then, the guitar playing now takes over. The music stuff takes over a lot of time. You don't realize how it's practicing every day. For guitar, for me, it's practice every day. Mm-hmm. You don't get good until you practice every day. And then it's going to go get equipment, looking up new equipment to be able to see if, because what with this channel particularly, we're planning on doing more gear reviews as well as like supplemental content to this stuff, which I absolutely love. We wanted to do, like, if we could just have a channel of interviews, we would do that all day long. We love this stuff. It's so fun.
That's trying to keep up with gear is crazy. Like I have such a simplistic setup. It's literally one of those PA systems you get off of like Amazon. It's one powered mic and it runs over to the other. Well, it's way better than what I had because I had like an ancient Johnson head with some PV speakers, or vice versa. Maybe it's PV head with some Johnson speakers, and it was rough. So I got that for Christmas, and it's just powerful enough for the band room, but it's also like, I'm sure I could use like a vocal mixer, something with some reverb, but it's just straight me all the time. So I have to manipulate, cup the mic and do everything that I want to do in order to change my vocals. But watching the guitarists, with their rigs, it's cool. But, and my drummer just got a new pedal, and he was playing with that, and it's quick. And it's like, ooh, that's nice.
Does it the double bass?
Yeah, he's had the same one forever, but it was like spaced apart and it was designed different. This one is like, I don't know, it had his old one had a hitch and then up, and this one, the full board is the kick on both of them, so it's real responsive. And we ripped through It's Over, and like he was like, hey, let's do it fast. I'm like, all right, let's do it fast. And he was just
Gary is saying he did not buy new gear today.
Yeah.
No, I hope not. You know what, though? I'll tell you the other thing that you become a gearhead. So guitarists do become gearheads, and it's hard not to. I mean, it's like so many different guitars give different tones, and you do like and I wanted to highlight your particular spin. It has the acoustic, and then it has the electric guitar. And just to get that to work, there's two guitars necessary.
A lot of like the beginning, the fade in and the fade out of that, it was actually a lot of it was my bassist Doug just playing chords on his bass. And it made it so much more melodic. It's like, oh, I like you. Doug is one of my oldest friends. Both him and Jamie, we've been friends since we're 13 years old. So, and Doug happens to be a bassist in my band, so it's really good to have that. But he started playing melodic stuff, and I was like, "What you doing?" It fit so good though, and I was like, "Yeah, keep doing that."
That is so true. That's what's so funny is that, and the story behind some of these people are, you want to go join a band, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You're just like, hey, do you want to do a band together? And like, none of you guys were musicians at one point, right?
Right. And musicians, but like growing up with Doug, being best friends with him and sleeping over his house, when we're kids and stuff, he had a bass, but it wasn't until he was just like, hey, you want to try and get a band together? I'm like, yes, I do. And that's how we met our drummer Matt and all this, and it was little by little, different. We've probably been through more guitarists than anything. A couple drummers, but guitarists we've cycled through a few. And then we met Sean, and seems to be a real. I mean, they're different enough. Sean, Norton is more. He likes a lot of music, and I think at last interview I said something about him only liking this stuff. It's not true. He likes a lot of music, but he tends to write, chuggier type of stuff. He does have melodic stuff, but then Sean Kelly he's honestly, I thought he would always be like in a hippie jam band, and it's just like it doesn't seem to fit, but then it fits. It was like he's enough melodic to go over top. Some of the high pitched stuff and the opposing guitar is him just bouncing off of Sean, and Sean work really well together. And it's nice to have that because it gives originality, which I love. I don't sound like everybody else. Please don't. If you're going to come up with something, do it yourself. It's I get wanting to sound like other people a little bit, but please, try and sound original.
Well, and that's so we were talking to a music producer maybe about a month ago, and that's exactly what he said, is that there's bands that will go through like grunge. Everybody was grunge. Right. Suddenly all these bands sound like grunge.
Yep.
And are all trying to sound like Nirvana. So they all, and it's because they want to get on top of that, that train that is now trending. Yeah. And then, so you'll find, and it was interesting. He was talking about more current bands, but that's the one that I can think of. That
there's a thing, a lot of bands, I won't say a lot, some bands up in Rochester, for instance, it really took hold. Rochester, New York, it has its own music scene. Well, it really took hold of the new metal scene. So Deftones, Korn, and all that general sound. And they've, for the past 20 years, they have been using it, but moving it around, making it more. One of my good friends, Mike, is in a band called Poison the Prophet, and they are, what does he call it? Groove Assassins. It's new metal, but it's something you can bounce your head to. It's like, yeah, that's nice. And there's a whole, they held the line, like they've almost become original by staying with what they know, type of thing, instead of evolving with all the different ways. They stayed, and they're like, hey, why don't we just manipulate this to make it sound like us? And I like it. It's good stuff.
Good. That's cool. That's cool. What was the name of their band?
Poison the Prophet is
Poison the Prophet. I always love the names.
They got videos. Right. They're super talented. 2 lead singers. They both sing, they both scream, and they oppose one another. I've seen them a couple times. Yeah, Mike's they play 7-string. I think they play pretty low. But
that's what the 7-string is. It's always that lower.
Yeah.
Instead of having to do like drop D or drop C, you just use that
big old thick string, right? So it's just nice and chuggy.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's for. Yeah.
Most of our stuff now is drop D. A couple are standard, like Faith No More, that cover that we did, that's standard, but drop D is for the most part what we write in now. That the boys have 7 strings and 5-string bass and all that. We just don't tend to use it much. I don't care. I like the really heavy stuff, the thick, muddy stuff, but I also like drop D just fine.
Yeah, drop D drops it down in just a oct, or a whole note, and it sounds just deeper. It has that deeper bass sound for a guitar. I absolutely, and there's like so many people that use that in rock and like just metal. I can tell you, like I can't tell you how many times that I wish I just had the Van Halen drop D switch. So you're just like, so his Strat actually had a drop D switch on it to where it would just drop the whole note.
I saw the coolest thing. Doug has, I don't know, I think it's on one of his basses. I don't think he got rid of it. He has a drop switch on it's up on the top string, so it just changes the top string.
Just but a whole note.
It goes to drop. It is like, dude, that's cool.
That is cool. It is cool. And it just is so much easier because otherwise you have to go and either get another guitar or tune it for each different song that you're playing. Sometimes they'll play it in because it's an E normally, open E, and then if you have to tune it down to go down to drop D. What they call it drop D because you're dropping it down a
I love
note.
I love to hear all that stuff, and it's just like I understand none of it. I can't play a lick of guitar. I sat behind the drums because Matt was like, "Hey, check out my new pedal," and I got back there. I'm like, "Bup, bup, bup. Yep, pretty cool." And then I got out. Like, dude, I could not separate my brain into 4 parts. There's no way I can play video games like this, but I can't do this. It's just it's ridiculous. It's like there's a reason why I'm a singer, because I can't do any of the other stuff.
I love it. But that's what's cool. So I don't sing because I can play guitar and I don't sing very well. You know, I played so this one lady, so I'm at Milano's Music, which is a local music place here in Mesa, in Phoenix. And so I go in and this lady's trying to convince me that, you know, she has an open mic night that she wants me to go try out for. And or I can go to, and said, hey, you should really go. You sounds like you've been really playing for a while. And she said, then she said that, you know, I've trying to convince everybody. I want to get some more backup singers. Do you think you can sing? I'm like, I don't sing. She goes, my main guitarist said the same thing. Don't worry about it. We all think that we can't sing. I'll help you.
Yeah.
And I have
Like,
a vocal teacher for a mom. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can't. But I have a vocal teacher for a mom, so I somewhat should, maybe.
I am, when I try and hit other people's ranges, I'm just flat. It's not that I can't sing unless I'm doing my own style, you know, and it's all me. That's the way I sing. If I try and emulate, like I was going to say with the drop D, Kill Switch Engage drop D, and we do Fixation in the Darkest. Well, the chorus in it, I have to gritty up because I honestly, I can't hit the notes he does. I've recorded myself doing that song and I am flat, and I'm like, hell to the no. I'm not doing that like that. So I grit it up. Like, you know, you hear in some of my songs, and that I can push past when I do that. And I'm like, all right, that'll work. It's just, I'd rather be able to sing it. It's just like, I can hear myself go flat, and I'm like, ooh, that's not good. Stop that.
So this is the part in the show where I recognized something, and I actually, because I keep looking at these cookies. So I chimped out. I really did just chinched out on the whole thing tonight. We didn't, you know, thank goodness that the main man Ben is here, of course. But I did not go and make a big dessert. I just did Oreos and some chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh.
That I did not make. They're store-bought, but they are like those are our go-to here. Like in our family, those are the cookies that we buy every week, and I still wanted to share that because that's what we eat. You know, like if I was to say, what am I eating while I'm playing guitar? That's what I'm eating. I'm eating those store-bought cookies because that's what we have around the house, and that's what Christy buys. So, but we know that the main man here has made something fresh, something amazing, and he has yet to tell me what it is. So I don't know what this is, but we all have to bow down to the chef who has made
me hungry. I can tell right now.
What is it that he made tonight?
It's simple. You know what I'm saying? It's just little like chocolate peanut butter, like bars, like ultimate Reese's bars kind of thing. So that's I went with those. That's just literally just like a pour, mix, you know, whatever, and let it set in the fridge, and that's about it. It takes about 20 minutes to make, I think.
I love it. My grandmother had a recipe that my wife has adapted to. Are they called half baked cookies? I'm not quite sure. It's like a meringue topping, with a brown sugar. So it used to be the cookie under was chocolate chips and whatever, you know, cookie mix, and then the top was like a meringue or brown sugar meringue type thing going on top, and it was great. But then she changed it to butterscotch, and like amazing. My wife made them, brought them up to my uncle's house. We had a little get together, you know, Christmas or whatever it was, and I mean, my uncle, you know, it was his mother, so he was just like, These are even better than my mother's, and his wife Kim was like, "Yep, they are." It's like everybody remembered the original, and my wife adapted it and made it even better, and they're so good. I think she made them for my birthday. Yeah,
I love that. I love wives for that reason.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Yep.
So Doug said that he has it on his Ibanez.
Okay.
My first guitar was an Ibanez. I am absolutely a huge Ibanez. There's some people that say, oh, they're just too middle of the road. I love Ibanez. And I would say that Steve Vai and several, and probably Doug would say, Ibanez's are great guitars.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't tell you. Yeah, Doug is that's bassist. That's
his bass.
Yeah, he got two new. He got matching bass to the Sean's guitar. It's funny. It's funny to see the same color. I'm like, what's going on with that? Yeah, Sean Norton. He's got to have 4 or 5 guitars. I don't know. He has an ESP.
ESPs are nice.
Yeah, the guitarist for Deftones. It's his signature guitar, and he's wanted it for a long time. Finally, he bought it. It's green. It's gorgeous. But he said he had to change the way he was picking because where Steph had the pickups laid out, so he had to move his hand back so he wasn't hitting the pickups. And it was that's interesting. That's yeah.
Speaking of guitars, I have bought way too many, and I can show off a few of my little gems that I bought. Gem number 1. Actually, I'll save up gem number 1. Gem number 1 that we'll show off. I'll save the best one for last. So this is a crazy freaking guitar. So this is a Telecaster. It's black, and I love it. It has, so this one is a weird one. So this is a 2016 Telecaster, but it's one of their Player Series Plus. So what it has is a double humbucker, but then it has a Strat middle, and then it has a Telecaster neck pickup. It's absolutely it's like the monster Telecaster. It has all these pickups that you probably you will never see something like that on another Telecaster ever. And they stopped making them. They went out. So in 2016 was the last time that because it was made in China. Mm-hmm. So because it was made in China, they just stopped doing business with them, and they didn't sell very well, I guess. And they just stopped making them. So this is one of not very many that were made.
Nice.
Wow.
And the interesting thing about it was when I was trying to look up the information on YouTube, it was all like either Fender or some music company that was doing any demos for this thing. Because there was just no information about it. Now, the second one that I bought recently is in a bag, and it is more like, maybe I'll describe it better than I will. I think it's actually a beautiful guitar, so
I think he should play him. I think he should play a little bit.
But here's so this is an D'Angelico.
Oh wow!
So it looks like an ES. So it's a semi-hollow body,
mm-hmm.
And
that's awesome.
So and it has like that fantail on it, and it has like that whole, like you can see it looks like one of those 50s guitars. Where it has like semi-hollow country, yeah.
See, vocalists, we do get the, it's just like, oh, you get to stand up in front of everybody. We don't get the cool stuff. Like a mic is a mic is a mic. It's just like, okay, cool. Like I have a Shure plug-in mic for band practice, and I'm completely comfortable with it. And it's at PG 48 or something like that. It's like, oh, yay, all the gear that vocalists get. Yeah. Woo-hoo.
I know. So then the last guitar that I'm going to show off. So I got all 3 of these. So I'm going to say that we saved up for a while, and I said this is my thing to myself. This is my gift to myself for getting the job that I got recently.
Nice.
So all 3. The first 2 were like guitars that we found, and it was such a good deal that we bought them.
Yeah.
Now the last one I've wanted all of my life. Since I saw my favorite band, which I have right here.
Oh yeah!
Concert.
There you go.
I went to their concert Monday of last week.
Nice.
But I have, it's not Slashes, but it is a Les Paul.
Oh yeah.
So this is Splash. Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. This is all solid one. Yeah, this is all solid one piece, and this is all this is their natural winewood. This is called a Les Paul Studio guitar. Mm-hmm. So it's made by Gibson, which is who makes they make Les Pauls, the original Les Pauls.
Yeah, yeah.
And they play the professional models. Like there's some different Les Paul lookalikes, but this is the company that you would say that's a Les Paul. This is what Slash plays. So, what did he say?
You know I'm right. The singers get all the babes.
They do.
and all the bassists carry all the equipment.
That is my show and tell for this week.
2 weeks from now, my favorite band of all time, that's Faith No More, going down to Pittsburgh, see them. Cool. Wife going down, and Doug's going down, and hopefully Sean. Matt was going to go, but his grandfather passed, and they're having something like the day after. He's like, dude, I can't. He's like, I was going to go. And then, so hopefully, I was supposed to see him last year, and everything came apart, so I couldn't see him. And then the chance to go see him this time.
That's hilarious.
It is Grandpa Pants. That's the babe I get.
That's hilarious.
So
now why that's funny. Yeah, I know it's somewhat internal, but can you share why somebody would call you why it's Grandpa Pants?
The Gary, chatting with Gary, whatever, and I talked about her wearing it. It was last winter or when it was cold or whatever, and I was like, yeah, she likes to wear pajamas all the time. There's just the only problem is they're kind of like, they look like grandpa pajamas, and they're not lingerie. It's just like, well, a girl, she'd wear lingerie or something. No. These are, straight up. They're comfortable, and I totally get it, but they're Grandpa Pants. And then Gary started calling her Grandpa Pants.
I love it. That's awesome.
And then my daughter is fried rice, because she was headed out to have Chinese food, which I absolutely love. And I said, hey, can you, get me some fried rice? And she said, no. And then she proceeded not to get me any Chinese food. And then Gary, of course, started calling her fried rice. So everybody gets a nickname, when they wrong me, I guess.
Fried rice, Grandpa Pants.
But only by the people that are not you. So we call them that, but they get the name by Gary or from
Ethan hasn't gotten one yet, but I don't think he really needs one. He punches me all the time, and Mondays and Wednesdays he gets to punch me, and it's just like, oh, yeah, Gary's right. I even offered to pay for it. I was like, hey, just get me fried rice, and I'll pay for it. And she said no.
She did. I remember that, actually.
Ethan is known as Rocky. Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
That's
his new name. Rocky. So that's so awesome. So how well is do you track your thing, or are you just like, or do you track your new singles or new album out, or are you
just like and I think Comply, the only way I look at stuff is like if it goes up over 1,000 plays on Spotify, it'll show. And it hasn't. It's not a big deal. I'm not even, it's nobody from a little town does it for the money. It costs far more than you'll probably get in return, but it's not the money. You spend so much to make the music just to make the music. Right. And it's fine. It's it was I guess the 5 songs a little more expensive to do than what we had thought, but it's okay. I think they came out great, so it's well worth it. And you never know. I got a sneaking suspicion, even though I love all the songs, I got a sneaking suspicion Spin, the emo song, is probably going to do the best out of all. If anything catches on at all, it's going to be that song. And I'm just like, oh, I'm going to watch it go over 1,000 plays. I'm going to be like, I knew it.
I would say that was the one of.
It's catchy.
I like it. That's the whole thing. Is it's catchy and it has some different changes. It has the acoustic and then it has the change to electric, which I love that ramp up. Yeah. When somebody's like, I think about my favorite songs. One of my favorite songs of all time, and this is a ridiculous song. It's like this cowboy song that Bon Jovi played on their New Jersey album. Mm-hmm. And they're just playing this acoustic song, and then they just get in, and it's just freaking loud, and it's that guitar sound that's just phenomenally, that when it goes from like acoustic sounding, really great, and then it starts lighting up because it's so loud and it has that amphitheater rock. It's just awesome sounding. Fills the room.
Yep. Some of my favorite songs are build-ups, and I think Spin has that. And I do really, and I'm not downplaying, my love for the song. I love it, and it's a lot of fun to play, even in practice. We did it Tuesday. We just run through some of our songs. It's like we start playing it. It's just like, I do like that song a lot. The only reason, I fancy myself as a metal guy, and then I still love the melodic side of it. It's just like, all right, I have to concede it's pretty good. Yeah.
Wanted Dead or Alive, I think you're right. I think that actually is not the song that I was thinking of, but Wanted Dead or Alive does have that. And I think that's off of Slippery When Wet anyway. But
Wanted Dead or
yeah, that's a good
I still, to this day, remember I was living in a town near here. It was before, or I was in kindergarten when MTV came out. And I remember sitting on my parents' waterbed watching MTV when like within the first week that it was on. And I was like, what is this? I love this. And ever since then, it's just like music, let's get, that's all it took.
Yeah. No, I love that.
I had to been 5 years old, something like that. And just music. Oh, the way it makes you feel. I'm like, yep, I want to do something with that for the rest of my life. That's cool.
No doubt. So yeah, Comply is, so this is what, our good friend, Better
It is good.
It is a good
I think I was saying pre thing. I have I wish I was time. I wish I had time. I have a sweet idea for It's Over. It's just that song's playing in my head, a video to that, and working on logistics. There's an old sanitarium that's up here. It's right around the corner from me, but trespassing, you have to have permission to go up there. So we can't quite do that. There's another location that we're discussing going to if that's unavailable, which I pretty much think is. But I have a vision of what the video could be to that song. And it turns out the one guitarist, Sean Kelly, is really good at editing. He made a video for Comply. It's a little schizophrenic for my taste. But I think if we had, it was just him doing it. He was just taking random images and put them together, and it went with the song, and he's really good at doing it. It's just, I think we, as a band need input on it. And I was like, if we had some footage of us, playing music, video style, whether it be up at the sanitarium, whether it be at this other location, if we could, introduce some of that into it, it would really make for a video. Cause I thought, all right, we did the songs. It's like, what's next on the list? Play shows. Yes, that's eventually, but a music video, something to put on YouTube. I'm like, yes, that. It's just none of us are directors. And I'm like, you know what? I have this vision. I might as well try, if we can record it on phones, he can manipulate, take the clips and make it a video. It might work. So I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that's going to be the next step here. I say shortly, but that's never the case. It's a process.
Cool, though. But that's so cool.
Yep.
I just think it's so cool. I mean, just think about all the stuff that's fun about.
Yeah.
It's about making and creating cool stuff that maybe 100 people see, maybe 1,000 people, maybe 10,000. You never know. But it's so fun to be putting that out there, especially when you realize that it's just fun at this age. We're just having fun.
Yep. And that's just, I said it literally at the beginning of the week that, it's just hanging out with my friends, making music is good enough for me. Whether we recorded songs or not, whether we, anything comes of it, whether we do a video or not, just being able to create music again with my friends it's all I need. Will it go further? It could. If it doesn't, okay, that's cool.
Very true. Very true. Yep. Love it. So Chris brings up the subject, and I definitely think so. The truth about MTV is it made bands. It absolutely made bands. And if you think about Chris's thing is that MTV now is I mean, it's just a bunch of reality shows. It's not MTV anymore. There's nothing music about it. I don't know if there's any even music news on it anymore. I don't know.
Except for what is it? 90s Nation or something like that. But there's a whole lot of hip hop, and I mean a lot of hip hop in there. It's just like I remember the 90s fondly, and I remember hip hop, but they're like they play it mostly, and I'm like, hey, there's a lot of rock songs you guys are missing. Like,
well, and then there's other stations that do, like Ovation. They have some of the really great music stuff on it. And then VH1 will do some good stuff on occasion. But I'll tell you, I don't know what happened to MTV, but like what happened to the music television piece that made you, that's what made you. And so many of us grew up on it, and now it's not that anymore. It's like completely a divulgent of that.
I think honestly, Napster, the whole Napster thing killed it for a lot. You no longer could advertise a product to sell because the product was free. And innovation happens. It's going to happen. Now they're finding a way, concerts, live streams, streaming services, they're getting their money back now, but it took a long time to readjust to that, to where, you spent all this money on a video, put it on MTV to sell your record. And once your record was worth, because somebody got it for free, MTV, they latched on to the quickest thing they could, which was a Real World. I remember that, that coming on, and I was glued. I was like, this is crazy. These people are recording themselves live, So I was part of that, that went along with that theory. And I get why they did it. They had to, maintain viewership, and they couldn't do videos anymore because nobody's buying albums.
That's true.
It was such a weird time for music, and I knew, eventually it would fight its way out, and YouTube was a huge savior of that. Once you could put videos, put it on, and then you got followers, you get revenue for people following you on YouTube. There's some a reason to make a video again. That's great.
That's where music videos end up at now. Now all new is really on either. What's the other one? What's the one that's like it always is? Starts with a V. That is always like the original version of that is on that on really, right. But it's YouTube like
Vimeo.
Vimeo, yeah, VMEO, yeah,
something like that.
The interesting thing about that is we talk about this, that me and James have talked about this with other folks, is the innovations change everything.
Yeah.
And if you think about in that regards, you think MTV was actually an innovator. You're going to go from radios to now showing live. And that's when, like, if you think about it, if you went to a concert or if you heard them on the radio, you didn't have to be good looking. Really. You really have to be a glam person. If you would say, hey, if you saw them live, you probably wouldn't even care then. But all of a sudden, when you're in your face, and they now had to be pretty. Mm-hmm. That's why the Motley Crues, the Poisons, Europe, all those 80s bands that some of us still love.
Yep.
But
Uncle Tom's Cabin, that always pops into my head when I think 80s. Uncle Tom's Cabin, I love that song.
Interesting.
Was it Warrant?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I love that song.
Yeah. And all of those bands they had a very pretty front person, and then they had really good looking, maybe not always the good looking back guys, but they always at least had the main vocal had, like, if you think David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, those guys had to be somewhat attractive looking. Bon Jovi, I mean, think about I love Bon Jovi because of the way he looked. It wasn't as much talent. There was a whole lot of things that went with it. Now it was the look as well as the band. That's what MTV brought, that innovation, and bands like Jefferson Airplane and some of those ones that we had heard of disappeared because they weren't glammy. They weren't into MTV style type of stuff. Then you have the innovation of Napster, which changed, like what you're saying. That's exactly what, I could see where that could happen, where that type of innovation is so disruptive. And they call it the butterfly effect, where one of those things changes the industry forever.
Mm-hmm.
James, you've been quiet, my friends. That means I'm over talking, or there's just
I
a
am
lot of
too.
good conversation.
I'm too. I'm sorry.
We both are chatters. We're both chatters. What do you got? What are you thinking? What are you thinking, James? What are you thinking, man?
No, well, I was trying to get rid of the dog was trying to stop barking and like it, so I want that. I was trying to mute the headphones on that. So, but no, I was thinking like what if MTV had. You think MTV would change like the name of MTV, being that it's not the M no more? You know what I'm saying? It's just more reality TV than anything.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know why they still continuously call it.
I did watch I watched the preview for the Video Music Awards, and it was like I literally had heard they're like live performances. I had heard of 2 of those people. And I'm like, wow, that is, and it's not even stuff I've listened to.
I don't even know why they even have music videos on there anymore, like music awards anywhere.
Yeah, it's the one oh, have you heard the Justin Bieber cover by Head's not new band. Who's it? Love shoot. What is that? Why am I drawing a blank there? Let Me Love You. It's a metal version of that song, and it is phenomenal. It's got Lacey Sturm in it from not Soulfly, but Flyleaf. Oh, so good. And it's like, this was a Justin Bieber song?
I know. And that's what's so cool is this is what's interesting is that some of the musicians, like Justin Bieber is a musician that's actually writing songs. So it's not, he writes his own music as well as performs for others. Taylor Swift is another one. You wouldn't, to be a singer-songwriter, that's pretty important. That is gone by the wayside to be a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
Just like your band is a singer, not all bands either. Your band specifically, you guys did one cover, but you guys did all original, everything else.
I tell you what,
that's so difficult to do nowadays. It's
that process of getting that approved took forever. Like we submitted it. We use DistroKid. So I like to watch a drummer on YouTube called 66 Samus. Phenomenal drummer out of Canada. He's played with some fairly big bands. He's just he's a Twitch streamer. He plays drums. Anyway, he had a discount code. He's like, hey, check out DistroKid. It's a way to put your music online. I'm like, what? There's because I never knew. Hey, you get a song, you finish a song. How do you get it to the interwebs? I don't understand. Well, DistroKid, he was like, use my thing and it gives you 10% off. It literally distributes it everywhere, with the exception of like SoundCloud. That wasn't one of the ones, but it's 10 or 20 different places that it puts it on, including iTunes, including Spotify. And it was like $20 a year. I'm like, hell yeah. So there's a whole bunch of clickety clacks. And, if it's a cover song, you have to click that it's a cover song. Somebody else performed it. They have to get permission for you to put that song out there. And then they get essentially a lion's share of the profits, which is, like 0.2 cents on a play or something like that. It's something crazy low. Like Faith No More gets more than we get for that song, even though it will be like fractions of a penny,
That's still cool though. I mean, but you think
That's
about
a
it.
good way to get that.
Yeah. But people look for cover tunes to say, oh, because when they look up, like if you think about it, I just Spotify'd that Bon Jovi song.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking it up, and then a bunch of other songs that have done covers on it.
Mm-hmm. John Alarda Making Enemies, there's probably 5 or 6 covers on there already. And we'd listen to them. And because, from not a competition standpoint, but from are we on par, if not better? And I think we are. I think our version is as good as anybody that put theirs on there. So I'm like, hey, I just don't want to be in the list and be the crappiest one.
Right. Well, the other thing is that if you're going to do a cover, and this is just my opinion, do it differently than the original artist. Yep. Don't be, I just, I did this. Maybe they changed a little bit, but if you're going to change it and be very similar, don't do it. It's not, it's not a,
ours is very, very similar, with the exception there's some guitar, accents and this and that. There's the whole solo in the last part of the song is not original. That's not the way they recorded it. And obviously vocals, yes, they're the same lyrics, but I change them up enough that it's me. It's right. And, Mike Patton has a vocal range of 6 octaves. I can't come close to that. So I did what I can. It's like he's waiting till I talk to bark. But yeah, it was weird doing it because I'm such a fan of his that it's
it was a tribute. So it could be a tribute to him.
I don't want to mess it up that bad because he is so good at what he does. And it's like, oh, please, just don't be embarrassing. And I listen to it over and over. I'm like, all right, I didn't make a fool out of myself. That's good.
Well, that's the whole thing here is that you still made it your own, but yet you still remained with the same. And that's the whole point intent. This is I'm still giving it tribute.
Yes.
But I'm giving it tribute with my style.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what? I heard some Bad Company song the other day, and a lot of I think Five Finger Death Punch plays it. And I was just like, much better, really good. Or House of the Rising Sun, who was redone, somebody just recently, and I was like, he ripped metal out of it and just made it metal. It was really, really good. And every guitarist who's ever been a guitarist has played either House of the Rising Sun or Stairway to Heaven or. Mm-hmm. It's like one of the simplest songs you can learn, but
I love that bit in Wayne's World where don't play Stairway to Heaven in the guitar store.
No stairway tonight.
No stairway.
So Five Finger, it is.
That's we were talking about that. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit ago about what songs would you not play. What songs would not be allowed in a place? What I'm saying, music place.
That was one of them. In a Guitar Center.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Five Finger Death Punch is the one who sings House of the Rising Sun.
Yes.
But he plays the whole main melody, though, is all power chords.
Yeah.
So it's that driving rock metal sound but it's all the same. And when I started listening to it, the same chord progression, but it's just the power chords of it. And I just absolutely, with the distorted guitar. With the pedals, I was just like, he sings it really well. He sings
if you
really
ever
well.
Get a chance on YouTube, look up Frog Leap Studios. There's a gentleman.
Oh my god!
He makes metal songs out of everything, and he is so talented. He plays everything. He does vocals, the guitar, everything in house. And then he's gotten so good at it and had such a good response to it. He goes out to play these cover songs live. It is just
I love it.
That's phenomenal.
I think he's in Sweden, or he's Swedish or something like that. He's in Sweden or
so good.
I love that. And that's what's so fun. It's innovative. It's innovative. And I love when somebody can refresh that.
Yep.
I was thinking of there's people that have gone downwards too.
Yeah.
So it'll be a metal song that they play on those two cello guys. Have you seen those guys? And they play Yep. That's so cool. Yep.
I did see, I don't know if maybe it was a TikTok or something like that, but a guy just staring at the camera because somebody had done a country song of a Slipknot tune, and he was just, you could tell the fury in his eyes, like, no, absolutely not. Like, the bitch part about it was really good. It was just like, oh my god, no! I could see Corey Taylor losing his mind. Like, what did you do?
And so this is the interesting. So there was a time where you could hear a pop song it would be played by Beyonce, for instance.
Yeah.
Not saying Beyonce did it, but pop song. And then you go over a country song, and they're same song, but be played by a different country by a country artist. And I was always like, and then I couldn't. And then my mom told me it's because neither one of them were the original writers.
Yeah,
they gave it to a pop person. He made it in a pop way, and this other person made it in their country way. And the songwriter is connected to both, but he's not even the same person. Country is the worst one that I know of, that they do not normally play their own music. There's very few of those guys that play their own music now.
Yeah.
Like, I was surprised. Like, everybody's like, "Oh, you know what? Garth Brooks plays his own," but the King George Strait does. It's all, he doesn't ever make any of his own music. He's made his entire career off of other people's music.
That's I'm not saying she doesn't create, make her own, but at one point in time, like Beyonce, like something like 22 writers for a song, it's just like, really? Because we wrote a whole song, mind you, it has to be perfect. When it hits market, it has to be perfect to make as much money as possible, to be as popular as possible. I understand, but it's just like 22 writers. You didn't write your own stuff? Really?
Right.
It's, like that Umbrella song. Umbrella, Ella, Ella, A. The whole song. It's like, wow. It's catchy, but why?
But that's pop sells, and it's it does. So if you ever study pop, it's 1-4-5, the same chord progression. Almost 99% of pop songs are 1-4-5 chord progression.
Who was it?
It's like phenomenally crazy that sells all the time because of the catchiness.
Who was it? It was Jerry Cantrell of Alice in Chains was talking about who's the rock band everybody hates. Nickelback. And he says, and Jerry Cantrell is like, watch them play live. He says they're phenomenal. It's just because you don't like their music, because it's all structured. It's all, it's made to sell. He says, but musician wise, he says they're phenomenal musicians. It's just people. Yeah. It's almost cliche to, you gotta hate Nickelback, and it's just like my opinion of them. I don't particularly care for them, but it's just like I get it. Like you came up with a niche nobody else was doing. You made some rock songs that everybody could sing along to. Got it. Cool.
That's exactly what it is. It's that pop rock. They were able to do the progression and it's all music theory, and that's what it sells it that way. It's the same. We were talking to a band last week, and they were like, "Oh, I noodle. I try to figure." And that's probably what somewhat you're using. Yeah. These people use the format that you get in the book, go 1-4-5, or 1-6-7, or it's just the same bar chord or the same chord progression throughout the entire song. It doesn't change up, or it changes. Maybe it'll change a key. Maybe.
I used to be I really wanted intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, chorus. I was very this and that. Now, with the latest songs, especially Comply and It's Over, I almost fought against. Comply is a little more structured, but It's Over is not. Like, there's literally I vocalize in one verse, and it's just screaming, and it's just that the verse is played twice in the song, but I do not sing on the first one. And it's just like I fought against that rhythm. Like, you got to break that up, because I don't want to. I don't, even though spin sounds really good because it's more of a format. My personal preference is to be creative. So it's like, break that up, make it sound good but different.
I was thinking about that the other day, because it usually is the same progression. If you think about all the rock songs that AC/DC does, for instance. They have the pre-chorus, which is, you hear that Back in Black. You'll hear that guitar Back in Black song. Yep. He's not singing. Oh, wow. Then he does a chorus. Then he does his what do they call that? Where it's the catch. Then they'll do the catch session, and then they'll do another chorus. Then they'll do a solo, and then they do an end for the third chorus, right?
Yeah.
Or third, no, it's like verse, chorus, verse, solo, then chorus, and then a fade out with maybe a solo. And they follow almost the same format. And if you ever listen to most rock songs, that's the way. There's solos in the same place as every single song. Yep. And it's always like their chorus and their verse is in the same thing. It's on the same format. Where yours is different. I agree. I was playing some. Do you know who was really different? And this is what was really cool. Pink Floyd plays very differently, and they don't do that. And then additionally, who was weirdly not doing that is Eagles.
Yeah.
I was listening to Lion Eyes. He does like chorus, or no, he does maybe a little bit of. He does most 2 verses before he does even the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, okay, he's singing, he's doing the next verse. He's not. There's no chorus for the next.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. And then they don't even really. I don't think that even has a solo in it. It has like a small little one, maybe.
Yeah. I know other bands have done it a lot. But, they start with a chorus. Well, I think Comply was the first time I had ever done that. And I was like, oh, well, that's new for me. It's not new to, songwriting style, but it's new to me. I'm like, oh, all right. And the thing about it is when you start from the bass, like, Sean and John come up with or Sean and Doug, sometimes they have, guitar only type of writing sessions, and they write music. Well, it's funny because they'll look at me. They're like, now that's the chorus? I was like, no, that's the verse. They're like, really? Because it's not in their minds how it was written. Like I've taken, they wrote all this, and then in my mind, I've restructured, my vocal structure to be different than what they're doing. And they're just like, really? I'm like, yeah. So what you thought was a verse is a chorus. What you thought was a chorus is a bridge.
Right. That's because we don't as guitarists, we're thinking riffs. We're thinking, okay, that's the main riff. Yep. This is the bass line. This is because we're thinking musically without the lyric pieces vocal pieces are very different.
Yep.
However, they still are the bridge, which is basically the chorus. I mean, you can call it the chorus almost because it's the bridge will bridge you over to the next verse.
Yep.
And I've even heard the hook, which is, that's a songwriter's term.
Yeah.
This is the hook of the song, which is usually the main verse.
Right? I love, just chordy type of choruses, the real, something that I could kind of sing along to if I wanted, and I typically don't, but I like them. It makes it's musically, it's the hook. And then the music will hook you in, and then I can vocally do whatever I want over it because we've already got you because the guitar riff's that good. It's like, yeah, that's nice.
You do, and his riffs, and that was the one thing that his riffs throughout are super good, but he's playing them different than they're just really powerful. They're just and they're uplifting. They just really have a good progression on them. And I always like that really heavy part that goes up, and then it does lead well. It's not like really sad. It's not minor. Mm-hmm. It's just really, it has a good end with all of his stuff. I love it. I absolutely really love his song. He's a really good guitar player. Mm-hmm. And they're also using really good pedals, and I can tell that and being able to use pedals well, not just that you use pedals. He's able to use them correctly.
He doesn't use it. He didn't use it in the studio, as far as I know. But he has a looper, so he can hit the button and play something, and then hit it, and then it'll cycle through and continue to play that as he's riffing over top of that. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's
it's like the extension of a delay. It's like a delay, but better. Right.
Yeah. Like you get 30 seconds of riff, that just loops itself over and over again. And it's like, that is super. His pedal board, or at least Sean Norton's pedal board, is huge. And Sean Kelly's, he's just got a couple. It's just mostly distortion and stuff. It's a style thing. Kelly doesn't, require a lot of but doesn't desire that type of stuff, just way too much going on to where Norton, he's constantly trying to like, ooh, what if I do this with this? And a little this and this.
Now, here we go. He, to fact, was 27. George only had 11 songs with Dean. He's written more than 50.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
All right, I need somebody to write all my stuff for me, please.
I knew it was like I knew that. Yeah, it's crazy how many. I mean, it's crazy.
It is from a vocal. I'm sure I'm positive guitar wise, to come up with original riffs and everything. Vocals are I hate writing. I really hate writing. I love coming up with the vocal rhythm. Writing lyrics to fit the vocal rhythm, whole different, because you want to stay somewhat on point. Like if you have an idea that you're trying to convey to somebody, but it, how many times can you, it's difficult. It's, I'm a fairly positive person, and it's just like I don't want to write about misery and stuff all the time. So now I've kind of incorporated more of the positive type of thing. Even though there's heartache, you try and come back from that. Just like a persevere type of thing.
Well, he's still playing a lot of major, which is upbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, there's there's definitely minor in it, but he definitely, I think, with the major chord progressions, he's doing really well, and I think that keeps it more upbeat anyway.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy the fact that you write your own vocals is huge, because that's such a hard thing it really is a hard thing to do, because this is the thing. It's like, either, in my opinion, most people are writing the vocals because they're feeling something, and so they write this poetic thing that comes to them, and then we're finding it's a mixed bag, and so many people are starting with like a bass or either a bass line, or they're using some rhythms or a guitar riff to start the song creation process. And I was like surprised by that. I really thought it would be the reverse. I thought lyrics would drive, and then you make the guitar, you make the riffs and everything else around that. And that's actually almost opposite of what most people are doing.
Maynard James Keenan of Tool does not put lyrics to a song till the song's done. Write the song, and then I'll put the lyrics to it. And it's crazy. Yeah. It's just like, I personally, that's the way I would love to do it, but it's usually, we only practice once a week. So it's not like, we, have a crap ton of time to be finishing songs, and then I get a crap ton of time to, be writing lyrics to it. But what is Chris Bangry? Cool. Oh, when you get into the studio, like, was it the week after you had me on that time, and you had Kitty on there? If you watch that documentary, Chris, they manipulate, like they went in with their songs, and then their producers said, nope, chuck that, this goes here, chuck that, this goes there. It's like, what? Like, because some producers have an ear for what's going to sell, what's gonna make a mark. And one of their biggest hits, I think, Kitty, was I draw a blank every time I go to think of it. It wasn't on their first record. It was like second or third record. And it was mostly, it was chopped up from what it originally was. They were very, very crucial about how they came into the studio with all their songs, type of thing. I remember that part of the documentary. It was just like, ooh, that's got to be rough. Like, you go in like, hey, we're going to do this. And no, you're not.
Right. Well, and that was the one thing that, and that was the one thing about Kitty, was the fact that them, and then I remember watching a documentary on Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So it was from a music producer's point of view, and he was talking about all the hits that he's ever done and how he completely butchered Chicago.
Yeah.
Now, he sold more records in the 80s for Chicago than they did previously. But that's why you have a very distinct 80s Chicago, and then you have it was just a completely 70s. It was 70s. The 70s version before this guy was very kind of Chicago funk, had a lot more jazz in it. And then you have what this guy did. He was making pop records for Chicago.
Yeah. And
that's where you have all of those hits after hit after hit. Now, he made hit after hit, but it's because he knew how to do it.
Yeah.
He's also the same guy who made, like, who's this famous singer that's in Vegas now? The blonde that everybody seen. Oh,
Britney Spears?
No, not her.
Rod Stewart?
No, it was the blonde. It was not a rock star, but he made she's a famous singer, and she's like from.
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. What I always wanted was a Kitty song I was trying to think of. It was driving me nuts. I had to look it up. I was like, nope, I know this. I know this.
That's funny. What is it? Let's see.
Blonde.
Said second album, right?
What?
Right.
I'm confused.
Well, there's a whole lot of second album. Paper Doll, Spit, and another Spit.
Oracle.
Backfish.
Off Oracle. I remember that just in the documentary, Oracle was the
name of the album.
Yep. Maybe it's third or fourth.
They don't even list that. They have Empires Part 2, We Are the Lamb, and then Safe. They don't even have that on there. That's crazy. Okay. Well, that's too bad. Anyway, maybe that's weird. But you're right though. That's the music. The music industry definitely. Yeah, he's actually saying pretty good. The music industry really does that because record companies are in to make millions of dollars. They're not in it to have you be a musician and be your own person and get whatever you want. They're in it to sell.
That's bring up Faith No More when they did The Real Thing, and it had all that, nobody knew who they were, and it just blew up. It was huge, epic, and all those songs blew up in '89. And then when they went to do Angel Dust, they wanted to do what they wanted to do. So they recorded the album, or most of it, and the producers came in and they played it for them, and they're like, what is this? Like, they were expecting them to do the same thing they did before, and they're like, we don't want to do what we did before. We want to, keep on, progressing as a band here. And they're like, I hope you didn't spend a whole bunch of money because this ain't going to make any money. They're like, oh, well, this is what we want to do. And I love that. Like, yeah, kind of just like, meh. They knew that if they continued, they'd be super successful, but they'd also burn out on that. Like, if they had done that same format, people would, they'd wear out on it. And they chose every album they've had has been different from the next because it's a progression of how they are in their lives, how they, what kind of music taste they're into. And I love that, the change. Just keep on changing. Just do what you want, what you love.
Well, and that's where we talked about Nickelback. That's why Nickelback is successful. They make the same bubblegum rock for every person that listens to it. It has the same riffs almost. I mean, one song almost doesn't sound different than the next.
Yeah.
They'll have the, and this is what the hair bands they figured out the 80s hair band stuff and now made it a little bit more metal.
Yeah. Yep.
A little bit new metal. And that's what Nickelback, Creed, that type of.
Creed kills me. I have some Creed on my Spotify. Phenomenal vocalist, but it wasn't creative anymore. It was the same kind of thing. The arms wide open, that type of thing.
Right. Let's play a love ballad. We always have about 2 or 3 love ballads on our album that will be successful. And and that's just, and it probably wasn't even written by them.
Right.
So there's a band. Go ahead.
From what I know, Creed's first album was produced by them. They went into the studio, they paid for it to be this and that, and then when they got signed, they were going to change some stuff, and they listened to it, and they're like, no, we're releasing it how this is. Like, dude, they did such a good job on the first record themselves that they're like, yep, we're just going to bloop and put this out in the market. It's like, dude, that's good. That's, Tremonti is a phenomenal guitar player. He, I respect that band. Some of the songs kind of like, I'd rather not. But I have songs on my Spotify. I listen to them. They're good. I have a lot.
I think that Nickelback is, you could buy the best of Nickelback and be okay for the rest of your life with Nickelback.
Yeah.
Hey, this is the best of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That's the only song. That's the only album you need to own of Nickelback because everything sounds the same. There's a country band that does that stuff too, and they have the same exact. And now I cannot remember their name. They're like a group. Oh, now I'm not going to remember them. But they're a group of country guys. It's like 4 or 5 guys, and every album is the same. The God Bless the Broken Road guys. I don't know if you guys... who are they again? That's why I have Google, guys. This is what happens when you get old. Or you can't type right. Okay, Rascal Flatts. Very famous, and they are absolutely the same record over and over and over again. And then I think people actually they just disappeared for most, like they had like 2 or 3 albums, and then we realized that they all made the same album again, and we're like, that's the end of me purchasing or going to any of their concerts again. Because they had the same albums again. Anyway, it is time, guys. It is 6:20 on my time. It is. Your wife is probably going.
Yeah.
Time to go to bed.
Yeah. Actually, I think football's on out there, so she's my wife of all people is weird because you wouldn't think she's a football fan, but it's something about when her dad was still alive, brings back, memories of watching football. It's home, it's safe there. So I was like, hey, first game of the season's on, she's like, what?
Do you know what's really funny is that because I've been just so focused on the music stuff, my wife's like, guess who the Cardinals are playing this weekend? I don't know. It's the first season in a long time that I didn't know who the season opener was and wasn't excited. I was just like, I've been Raiders. So focused on the job, and I've been so focused on. And I also knew this is kind of like I'm excited for the team, but they aren't expected to do well. So
right. I'm more excited for the Buffalo Bills. They're just by default my secondary team because I'm an hour and 10 minutes from them. And everybody around here is, but they have a legit chance at doing well. And it's just like, all right, I feel that sense of pride. It's just like, unless the Raiders are playing them, then they can piss off.
So we saw the Bills played the Cardinals and had that Hail Mary that beat the Bills last year. That was crazy.
Yep.
But this year I'm just not as, I don't know. I mean, I'm playing a fantasy football league, but I'm just not as gung ho as I have been. I think I'm just so more focused on doing the music stuff, getting that going.
Good. Yeah.
It's been a good thing. Well, it'll take some time, but me and James here will get things if, I don't know if he's going to. What do you think, James? We're going to take off. We're going to take off. We're going to take off. But we're going to take off and take off. So we're going to leave and say goodbye to everybody. Thank you guys for coming on in. James, you got anything for us?
No, yeah. Sorry, I was kind of quiet today. I was kind of just messaging. Yeah, I was messaging the girl, see how she was. So sorry.
Look at I felt bad. I was like, "Am I talking too much?" She isn't talking.
You're good. No, you're good.
No, and
yeah.
He's got some personal stuff going on that probably I don't want to share, but I know that he's got a lot going on. So, yeah. It happens. And, I think that that situation, we almost didn't go live today because I'm just like, James, you got to go handle it. But the interesting thing is you can't just go do certain things because of the pandemic.
Right.
So there's certain things that I'm not going to be able to help anyway. So might as well make the best of it. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's too bad, man. But prayers anyway for situations and everybody feeling better. And, we've had there's been a lot of really big, even Gary, our own really good friend, he was really, really sick. And I'm glad that he's better, but yeah, it's just been one of those years. This last 2 or 3 months has hit home more because I've known more people that got sick recently.
Right.
Personally got sick. So I don't know why. Maybe it's because the home orders, people were staying at home and because there was nothing open.
I knew more people from the start of it that had it than this round.
Okay. How weird.
It's my entire shop except for me.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, maybe I did get it. I have no idea.
Well, he has bat blood in him, so he's just like, that's what makes him sing. His rockin' vocals are bat blood.
I'm just weird enough that it's like, I ain't messing with you, man.
Well, Ben, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Oh, no problem.
I appreciate it. It's such a good blast to be able to hang out, and we'll have you on again. You know, we're
actually haven't even checked out the CD yet, so it gives me a reason to check out the CD because I haven't even checked it out. So I'll have to take a listen to it.
No problem.
It's
Good, October 7th or something like that? I think you tentatively put me on.
Yep. So we'll probably have him on again October 7th, which is in a month. But we totally appreciate you coming in and hanging with us. We'll definitely be looking forward to hearing more response about this new album. So very cool.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh man, no doubt in my mind. This is a hit. This is totally a hit. We will talk to y'all later. Thank you for joining. Enjoy your night and your weekend. And tomorrow you might go visit us on Table Talk.